Now let's work with the A hover. So I would copy this whole thing and then paste and make my changes. So A colon hover. Make sure you don't put a space between the colon and hover. A colon hover. The only two changes that I want are the color and text decoration. I don't want to change the font size, so I'm going to remove this line of syntax. So color is going to change from 5BA, 5B3 to 33, C9, E4, which is a kind of a turquoise color. And upon hover, I would like to have an underline. So I want to change text decoration from none to underline. Save this and let's see. So now when I hover, that's what I get. I have this pastel blue changed to turquoise blue, and I get a nice underline. So next thing is the navigation. And as you can see, there's this default left margin, which we can get rid of, and so forth, obviously. So let's go ahead and work on that. So just make sure you put things in the right order, because the UL is the parent of the LIs. So we should put the UL before the LIs. Okay, just to have a clean code. UL pound navigation, open close curly braces, and let's set the margin to 0. Padding 0, and let's give it some margin top to have some space, 1.5%. Okay, so we have, obviously, you notice again we're working with percentages now, no longer pixels. We removed the default margin of the UL, and we just added some margin at the top of 1.5%. Okay, let's continue working with the header. So we want to give the header some padding, because it's true that we got rid of those margins, but now that we're at 0.0, we obviously don't want neither the logo nor the nav items to be stuck to the left side of the header. So we will give the header some padding, 1.5% from the top, 0 from the right, 1.5% from the bottom, and 3% from the left. Okay, so remember this value, 3% from the left, just so that we align things in the future. So there you go. We have 1.5, 1.5 from the top and the bottom, and 3% from the left, and nothing from the right side, because we don't need that. Okay, let's create the footer now. Let's go to index, and after the header, just create the footer element, open the footer, close the footer, and you can create a P, open and close the P, and you can write something like for more information, call 917-222-2222, or make up a number, or write your own number, whatever works. 2015, and then your name, your last name, or something in that effect, or your email, whatever you like, you can put in the footer. Save that, and let's style the footer. Obviously the footer is at the very end. Footer, open close curly braces, background color, let's make it white. Position is fixed. What we've covered until now is position absolute and position relative. We haven't covered position fixed. You will see what it does right now. When you set an element to position fixed, it's going to be stuck at a certain location. Okay? It's a nice effect if you, for example, in the case of the footer, you always want the footer to stay at the bottom. even if you keep scrolling the page, it stays where it is. So it's a nice effect. Position fixed, the word position is accompanied with bottom 0 and then left 0. Let's also make the width of the footer. If I want the footer to extend from the left side of the screen all the way to the right side of the screen, that's 100%, right? So we can do 100%, save, refresh the page. So this is it. This is the footer. Right now I can't scroll because I don't have elements here in the blue section. But if I did, and you will see that on the portfolio page or the about page, the footer stays where it is and we can keep scrolling and going down on the page. So let's style this now. The P, footer, P, open close curly braces, color 666666, font size 0.7 em, and then margin left. If you remember, we left a 3% padding right here on the left side of the header. So if we want things nicely aligned, we have to do that same thing. So let's give a margin left of 3% to the footer. Okay, so it's nice and clean, and you know, it has a classy look to it if that's the style of your portfolio. Maybe your style is grungy or whatever, you can change, you can use a different font, you can choose you know, like striking colors as opposed to this blue pastel, but you know, you can use this as a foundation and as a template. Excellent. So this is the home page. We're done with the home page. We're going to go ahead and create the about page next. So if you click on about, obviously there's nothing there. So let us build the about.html page. Before doing so, let us just put a comment for ourselves in the style.css right here and say this is common. Okay, all of this, what we styled, is common across all the pages. The color of the body element, the header, as you know, the header exists on all the pages, so does the navigation, the footer, everything we styled applies exactly the same on all the pages. So I'm using the common comment at the top of my HTML, my CSS, I mean. Now create a new file. And let's save it before doing anything else. Inside of the proper folder, call it about.html. Okay, and let's start with the syntax. Now, what we want to do instead of retyping everything is go to index, copy everything, select all, Command A, Command C, and go to about and paste it. And I'll increase the font size just for us to see more comfortably, and we'll go ahead and add what we need to add in this about section. So under header, so there's inside of the body element, there's the header, and then there's the footer. Okay, so right after header, I want to open my div container right here. Div, and close the div and give it an ID container. So the div is a child of the body element. It's at the same level as header and footer. That's why it's aligned with them. And now let's see what's inside the div container. If you remember from the first video, there's going to be a section at the top, which is a horizontal section, and it's going to have underneath it 4 columns with information. Okay, so let's go ahead and create all these sections. Section, open the section and close the section. And let's give the section an ID, intro. Okay, the same section is going to exist on the other pages with the same ID. Obviously, you can use the same ID on different pages, different HTML pages, but you can't use the same ID on the same HTML page. Okay, that's the difference. So here the value intro can appear only once on the about.html page, but it can appear on the index page, for example. In this case, it won't. It will appear on the portfolio page. But you get the idea. So this is the intro, and then it nests an H1, a first level heading. So make sure to open and close. And H1 should say about as a title. You may want to use a different word, for example, about me, about Rachel, if Rachel is your name, whatever. So you choose the title that you want. Under the H1 is the P element. Open and close the P element. And let's just paste a lorem ipsum, and then you'll replace it with what you would like. Lorem ipsum. I'll copy perhaps up until this word book. Okay. Okay, that's all. And let me save this and refresh the page. Go to about, and this is what I have. Okay, obviously it's not styled. The font size is whatever it is, but we'll look at that later. So that's the first section, which is meant to stay horizontal. Let's create the other sections, which should reside in columns once we style them in CSS. So what I'm going to do is copy everything between the opening of the section element and the closing of the section element, and I'm going to paste that 4 times because I have 4 columns. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now the changes that I need to make are, most importantly, the ID is going to change to class. So class skills. Okay, make sure to apply this class skills to all the 4 sections after the initial section. So in total we have 5 sections. The first section has an ID intro. The last 4 sections have a class skills. Okay, so copy class skills and paste it to the others. The reason why the other 4 have the same class is because we want to apply the same styling properties to them, such as floating left, for example. We want them all to float left. We want them all to have a dashed border. So we want to write that syntax 1 time for the class skills. We don't want to do it 4 times. Okay, so let's make our changes here. We change the class value where it says about should change to skills and services. The second one can change to professional history. The third one can change to education. Awards can be the fourth one, and so forth. You can leave the lorem ipsum as it is, and we can save and refresh the page.